Regular meeting of the Comal ISD School Board of Trustees to order at 7 p.m. on December 11, 2025. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551.071 through 551.089. Good evening, board members, district staff members, and members of the audience. We will begin this meeting as we do every meeting. You are free to join me in standing as Russ Garner leads us in a word of prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the pledge to the Texas flag.
Please join me in prayer if you are so inclined. Dear Lord, we come to you this evening in gratitude, living in the best country in the world with the opportunity this evening to exercise the public governance of our amazing school district. For all participants, please fill our minds with wisdom and our hearts with respect and empathy, enabling us to make the best decisions for all of our students, staff, and stakeholders. Lord, I will always ask in my prayers for you to provide vision and terribly needed wisdom to our state legislators so that they can understand the important role of public education for the future of our great state of Texas. Grant them the courage to fight for the 5.5 million students who deserve every opportunity to succeed. Lord, please bless and protect all of our Comal ISD families as they travel and gather to celebrate the holidays and the birth of Jesus. Finally, Lord, please wrap your arms around our community members facing illness, injury, and loss. In your name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. As a district, we dedicate all our efforts and resources to our motto, Growing Greatness. The board uses this motto to guide all deliberations, decisions, and actions. You'll get to see all deliberations, decisions, and actions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in a closed session, as stipulated in the Texas Government Code, Section 551, commonly known as the Open Meetings Law. These items typically deal with personnel matters, consultation with our attorney, and real estate. For the record, the board members present are David Krasinski, Amanda Jones, Russ Garner, Amy Shaw, and myself, Courtney Biasotti. We constitute a quorum and may conduct business on behalf of the district. Before moving on to the next agenda item, I'd like to remind you that the board will accept comments from citizens of the district and from district employees. Persons who wish to speak during public comment, audience participation must have completed a form for this purpose and placed it in the designated location prior to the opening of the meeting. When the board addresses agenda item number 3, public comment, audience participation, you'll be invited to the podium to speak to the board. The first agenda item is item number 2, board recognitions. I will turn it over to Ms. Camille Montoya.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Chapman. We are excited to share recognitions with you this evening and appreciate the students and parents who took the time to join us to be recognized. Parents, please know you will be able to take photos after each group is recognized. We begin this evening by recognizing the students who won the district's 3rd annual Christmas card art contest. Students from across the district entered their original artwork with hopes of being selected for Comal ISD Christmas card, which was sent to district staff members, neighboring superintendents, and community partners. Winners were announced in 3 age categories: elementary, middle, and high school, with one being honored as the cover art winner. Each winner was surprised at their campuses last week. The winners are Jenny Lee, an 8th grade art student at Piper Ranch Middle School, whose design was selected as the cover art for the card. Lily Babb, a 5th grade student at Kinder Ranch Elementary. And Ashton Dunbar, an 11th grade student at Piper High School whose artwork won the same category last year. Our art teachers with us are Edita Ellison from Piper Ranch Middle School and Jennifer Snellings from Piper High School. And parents, y'all are more than welcome to stand and get a photo if y'all would like. Congratulations. Now we would like to honor the Davenport High School Wolf Marching Band, which came home with the silver medal in the state UIL 4A contest. In only its 6th year of completion, the Wolf Band advanced to the finals in the state 4A marching band contest for the 4th year in a row to place second in state with its show titled Wonderlust. In addition, Davenport's percussion placed first in the state. The 196-member Wolf Band is represented this evening by the following student leaders: Matthew DeSillitz, Ben DeSorbo, Natalie Drichta, Carter Elza, and Sadie Hernandez. The band is under direction of Director of Bands Michael Lehman, Associate Band Director Tyler McClendon, Associate Band Director Marley Doherty, Congratulations, Wolf Band. Our next recognition is for Canyon High School FFA Agricultural Communications Team that was named the Reserve Champion at the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis this fall. The all-female team created a media communications plan for the FFA New Horizons magazine that included writing a feature story, designing a magazine layout, producing a broadcast piece, and developing a social media strategy. With us this evening, we have Erica Mizanine from Canyon High School. And we have our CTE Ag teacher, Kaylee Musgrove. Congratulations. Now we turn to the Smithson Valley High School girls cross country team, which came home with the silver medal, placing second at the 5A UIL cross country state meet in November. This year, the team average was 3 seconds faster than it was a year ago at the state meet, and it finished the season as the district and region champion. The team includes Skylar Fonseca, Lily Hall, Addison Knibbe, Lily Koenig, and they are coached by Trenton Hall and Jessica Aguilar. Congratulations. Our next recognition honors the 100th career win for Canyon High School head football coach and athletic coordinator Sean McAuliffe. The win came on October 10th when the Cougars played Clemens. Coach McAuliffe is in his 28th year as a coach and his 11th as a head coach and athletic coordinator. Prior to coming to Comal in 2024, he coached at Judson and Cypress Ranch. He was named the 2014 San Antonio Express News Coach of the Year, the 2014 San Antonio Touchdown Club Coach of the Year, and served on the Region 8 Board of Directors for the Texas High School Coaches Association in 2018. Congratulations, Coach McAuliffe. The final recognition of the evening celebrates 3 elementary campuses and 1 middle school campus, which were ranked in the top 10 children at risk list for the 2024-2025 school year. Listed in the top 10 among the 372 elementary schools in the San Antonio area was Hoffman Lane Elementary at number 1 with Principal Amanda Schumann. Bill Brown Elementary at number 2 with Principal Ashley Jackson. And Timberwood Park Elementary at number 6 with Principal Kim Lissy O'Brien. Listed in the top 10 among the 152 middle schools in the San Antonio area was Piper Ranch Middle School at number 7 with Principal Tony Trevino. This concludes our recognitions for the evening. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is number 3, public comment audience participation. Persons who wish to speak during public comment audience participation must have completed a form for this purpose and placed it in the designated location prior to the opening of the meeting. Ms. Comstock, do we have any public comments? Before we begin, I'll remind our audience members of the board's procedures for handling public comment and audience participation. Anyone interested to speak in person during public comment audience participation must have completed a form and listed the topic they wish to discuss prior to the start of the meeting. Each speaker will be allowed to speak once during public comment audience participation and will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board, dictated by Board Policy BED Local. Because the board wants to hear from as many of you as possible, while also keeping the meeting running efficiently, groups of more than 5 people who want to present a particular viewpoint on a topic should appoint one person to speak on behalf of their group. Please remember that the board cannot deliberate on any subject that is not included on the agenda for this meeting. Board members will listen to comments but will not respond or answer questions. We also ask that you not discuss students who are not your own child. The timer will be shown on the screen in front of you and will begin when you arrive at the microphone to speak. Again, the speaker's presentation will be limited to 3 minutes. Our first speaker this evening is Ella Nash.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Ella Nash, and I'm an outreach specialist with the Alamo Area Council of Governments Clean Cities Coalition. Clean Cities is a Department of Energy designated coalition that provides technical assistance and training to promote the adoption of clean transportation technologies in our region. I'm here tonight to make the case for electric school buses and let you know about a training program that Clean Cities will be facilitating in spring of 2026. Before I jump into that opportunity, I'd like to share a few points that illustrate the need for electric buses. The most immediate benefit that electric school buses offer is zero tailpipe pollution, which can lead to a significant improvement in the health of students. Diesel school buses produce harmful air pollutants both outside the vehicle and, more significantly, inside the cabin that can cause respiratory issues, decreased attention span, and, as a result, increased absenteeism. Additionally, diesel exhaust pollution is a known carcinogen, so exposure to these pollutants is damaging to anyone, including bus drivers, but it has especially adverse effects for children's developing lungs. In addition to eliminating diesel exhaust pollution exposure, electric school buses have lower operating and maintenance costs than diesel buses. Though they are expensive to purchase, when combined with grant funding to help cover the upfront costs, the total cost of ownership for electric school buses can be significantly lower than diesel buses. And in Texas, there are opportunities that can assist with this. The Texas Clean School Bus Program, through the Texas Emissions Reduction Plan, or TERP, is currently accepting applications and can reimburse up to 80% of the upfront costs for replacing a pre-2007 school bus. And there's another open TERP grant that can reimburse up to 100% of costs when you replace active buses 2003 or older. Clean Cities can assist with applying for and navigating funding opportunities, so now is the right time to begin thinking about electrification. That brings me to the opportunity that I mentioned before. Alamo Area Clean Cities is organizing a workshop for school districts interested in learning more about electric school buses in spring of 2026. This workshop will be completely free and will focus on a variety of electrification subjects by participating school districts. So if this is something that the district is interested in participating in, I encourage you to please reach out to me so that we can include your priorities for training topics. I'm happy to answer any questions, and then I also brought flyers and business cards that I handed to them at the start of the meeting. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Ella. Our next speaker will be Ms. Lauren Dulock.
Hi, I am reading this on behalf of a parent that had to work this evening. At the November meeting, the board president stated, "The number one priority of this district is to make sure your children are getting an education and prepared for their next steps," end quote. While education is a priority under Chapter 37 of the Texas Education Code, the Board of Trustees is also required to ensure that every campus is physically and psychologically safe, secure, and supportive, enabling all students to learn and thrive. Again, quoting, "As a mother of 3 Comal ISD students, my goal as a mom is that they are good human beings and contributing citizens to the community and their future selves. It's my job to raise my children and my job to assist the district in ensuring that yours get an education and prepared when they leave Comal ISD. As a parent of Comal ISD students, I believe we all share the goal of helping our children become responsible, contributing members of society. However, statements framed from a position of personal circumstance can unintentionally come across as dismissive or belittling to other parents who spoke that evening and raised valid concerns. Many families within Comal ISD come from diverse backgrounds, including single-parent households, guardianship arrangements, or situations where a parent may be absent. To suggest that it is solely a parent's job without acknowledging these realities risk being out of touch with the community the board represents. Our students' circumstances vary widely, and our district's language and approach should reflect understanding and respect for all families. In regards to Canyon's football program, psychologically safe sports environments promotes transferable skills directly benefiting academic engagement. Coaches and schools play a key role in providing inclusive team cultures, supportive coaching, and positive relationships benefiting both learning and athletic performance. It is a shame that a post about the Canyon football program drew over 600 comments ranging from heartfelt personal experiences going back to 2011 to uninformed opinions to outright hate and even from non-Canyon parents seeking relevance. Many called out a lady in the stands for being a bully, yet showed no remorse for attacking her in the same way. Voices speak from both sides of their mouth, and the result is a community divided. It is a sad day to be a Cougar, and it is clear that real change must happen. In reaction to the superintendent's email yesterday, the newspaper was not negligent in their reporting. The district was given a chance to comment and chose not to. If given the opportunity, perhaps we will choose a candidate who is thoroughly vetted, like those clearly qualified that you overlooked 2 years ago. Our students deserve better. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jessica McMillan.
Good evening. My name is Jessica, and I am the mother of a senior football player. I am not here to talk about playing time, athleticism, or underclassmen. I'm here to address serious concerns that have not only affected my family, but many others over the past 2 years. In a recent email from Superintendent, it stated that we must follow chain of command, encourage fact-based reporting, and uphold the integrity to our football program. The chain of command was followed, but ignored, not just this year, but last year as well. I've listed a series of emails dating October 2024 through September 8th of 2025 of this year, which did include principal, superintendent, board member, head coach. In this meeting, I finally got September 8th. I voiced my concerns that my son was specifically targeted by an offensive coordinator who had developed a personal dislike for him. He was followed, monitored, and singled out, treatment that no other student was receiving. I did read a text message my son sent about how the offensive coordinator made him feel. I followed chain of command and still felt no real change. Let's ask what a coach is. What is a mentor? A mentor is a trusted advisor. A coach trains, guides, and leads athletes. Leadership requires motivation, guidance, and a shared vision. How can a team be motivated, inspired, and empowered when this is lacking in the coaching staff, in the educational environment, and even in parts of our administration? We talk consistently about growing greatness, but greatness cannot grow where leadership is absent. You cannot empower or educate students when hostility and toxicity overshadow everything else. These are not the first conversations, emails, or complaints. This is 2 years of repeated issues with no change. We have coaches' spouses fighting other parents in the stands with no repercussions. High school football should not be political or hostile. It should be fun and create memories. When coaches berate their own staff in front of students and are scolded by a principal with no real change, there's a problem. Saying sorry means nothing without change. How many coaches have left? How many students have quit or transferred? How many promising young athletes have lost their passion? A toxic culture creates division. It damages morale. It drives away good coaches. So I ask you, at what point do we say enough is enough? At what point does the district acknowledge that this is not just one parent, not just senior parents, not just one incident, but a long history of concerns? At what point do we prioritize safety and well-being in the future of our students? We ask the board, the administration, and the leaders of our district to finally take action.
Our next speaker is Lauren Clausen.
So I want y'all to understand, I work at Texas State University and I have taught there. I say that so that you understand that the processes, that I know processes are required to create change. I want to address the superintendent's message encouraging parents to follow the chain of command. I followed the process exactly. Last year, I went to coaches, spoke with one of them and the principal. The district leadership was informed. I trusted it would be handled at a campus level. This year, following trust but verify mentality, parents, including myself, have verified that the same behaviors have resurfaced and escalated. So I'm continuing the hierarchy as advised. address issues at the lowest level, and elevate when leadership fails. That is why I am here today. For 2 years, parents have watched the Canyon High School football program drift from what an athletic program should represent. This is not about boys being too sensitive. I'm extremely tough on my son. I expect discipline and accountability daily. But what many of these coaches are doing is not tough coaching. It is not leadership, and it is not mentorship. It is behavior that adults struggle with, yet our boys are expected to navigate it with respect, which is not modeled to them. A coach is supposed to teach, guide, and correct without demeaning, yet when my son respectfully asked what he needed to do to improve, he heard the same empty response: just get better. No instruction, no direction, no feedback. Last year, it was fix it. Same message, figure it out alone. That is not coaching, that is leadership failure. The environment became so devaluating for my son that my son made the heartbreaking decision to step away from a sport he loves, not from a lack of passion or skill, but because he recognized his efforts and honesty were not valued. Protecting his sense of self-worth took courage, and he is not the only student facing this. What has been shared publicly barely scratches the surface, and while balanced reporting and consistency matter, consistency cannot come at the expense of ignoring harmful behavior from leaders. This is not about seniors or isolated incidents. Students across all grades are experiencing this treatment. It represents a systemic breakdown in leadership and mentorship. To be clear, not every coach is part of this problem. There are few coaches that have been true models, supportive, constructive, and genuinely invested in students. These actions make the failure of the others even more undeniable. I appreciate that Comal ISD supports its football program, but supporting a program also means taking a serious look at who is leading it, because what is being produced right now is not a coach or a leader that should be modeled. Comal ISD's mission is to provide opportunities for all students to succeed, yet many athletes are not receiving this opportunity. They are enduring behavior no district employee would accept from a supervisor and being asked to carry a more professionalism than most adults that are in charge of them right now. This program does not need protection. It needs truth, accountability, and personnel changes.
Our next speaker is Jesse Harlow.
I'm going to be reading a letter that my son wrote. Growing up, all I knew was football, and I thought that football was going to be my future. Sophomore year, I played really good on JV, and I had a great relationship with our previous offensive coordinator. I thought I really had a chance to be the varsity quarterback and play in college one day, but he was fired when the new head coach came in. Ever since, it feels like I was forgotten about. Over the summer, I was splitting reps with the starting lineup with another QB. Even though I was on varsity the previous year and the senior quarterback that had been with the team since middle school, my mom reached out to the offensive coordinator and was told that I was competing for the starting spot, but she shouldn't be worried because if he had to make a decision that day, I would be starting. Me and the other quarterback were competing all summer, just us two. Then, not even 1 week before our first game, the quarterback coach sat us all down and said the other quarterback would be starting, and I wasn't even second string, I was third. He then told me that I would now be trying to help the team in a totally different position that I had never played before, tight end. And from then on, they only had me practice and play at that position. At this point, there were 3 tight ends, and we rotated every drive. During the Alamo Heights game, I had a 30-yard reception and was starting to feel good about my position. But after the game, I was taken out of the tight end rotation. No coach spoke to me or explained why I was removed. I was just left to stand on the sidelines and watch the rest of my team play. After every game, win or lose, I had people asking me why I wasn't the quarterback anymore, but I never knew what to tell them. I felt ignored on purpose. The head coach and offensive coordinator didn't even speak to me for the rest of the season. I have never been a part of a team where a player doesn't have any type of relationship with the head coach or offensive coordinator. Eventually, the second string quarterback moved to defense, and without any explanation or communication, I started getting quarterback reps at practice again. But I still could feel that the offensive coordinator had zero interest in me as a person or a player. During warm-ups at the Clemens game, the quarterbacks were throwing the ball, and the offensive coordinator was standing right in the middle of our throwing path. I told him I didn't want to hit him. I was trying to look out for him. And he just laughed in my face and said, "What? you're just going to throw it to the defense if this happens during the game, and didn't move at all. I did finally get to play quarterback during the Steel game. They put me in towards the end of the third quarter. We were being shut out. The score was 42-0. I threw for over 130 yards and 1 touchdown. After the game, no coach said a word to me about how I played. The next week, during film, the offensive coordinator openly mocked me in front of everyone, making fun of one of my passes, saying it was all luck and a total accident. I had another player on the team tell me that during the Steel game, he was cheering for me on the sidelines and was told to shut up and show respect by the head coach. Others told me the wide receiver coach told him not to cheer for Boston if we put him in again because it's rude to other players, and they were told that it looks like they're trying harder when they're taking reps with me and not with the other quarterback. I've also had multiple other players tell me they heard with their own ears the offensive coordinator call me soft and a crybaby. I feel like I was robbed of my senior season and the opportunity to be seen and recruited for college.
Our next speaker is Garrison Simchik.
I'd like to first start by thanking the board for allowing me to speak tonight on behalf of my family and our Canyon Cougar athlete, Joseph Simchik. After hearing all of the other stories and personal experiences in this meeting and last regarding coaching, culture, and ultimately the athlete's experience, I would like to share how the Simchik family got here to this meeting. Our journey with Canyon Cougar Athletics started summer of 2024 with our son first making the freshman football team. We were contacted by one of the coaches at the end of September to discuss his future with the Canyon football program because he had impressed the coaching staff enough to be offered a promotion to the varsity squad. What should have been one of the most proudest and most exciting seasons for us quickly turned into hateful social media posts, direct comments, and whispers about that freshman kid. Not from his teammates, coaches, or teachers, but from parents that thought he had not earned nor did he deserve to be promoted to varsity. We had numerous talks with him about the responsibility he had to prove himself to his team on and off the field, and never once did he have a negative thing to say about a coach or any of his teammates. By the end of last season, he had earned the respect of his teammates and coaches. However, the comments, and verbal and written, did not stop from the parents. Fast forward to this season, and the hate and direct comments of athletic abilities from the parents in the stands not only continued towards my son, but now had intensified due to 7 of his sophomore classmates being promoted to varsity. From the first scrimmage, groups of parents began yelling at the coaches as well as the kids from the stands. The season began to spiral at the New Braunfels game when there were parents cussing at each other and towards coaches' wives in the stands, all while our athletes could hear and see the events and were trying to play the game. This aggressive attitude only got worse in the stands as the season progressed, and you could tell by season end the toxicity had filtered down to the field while the kids were trying to play through it. If we were to have an honest discussion about the culture of Canyon athletics, we need to look no further than the continuous social media posts about this season and the negative and hateful references by parents regarding high school kids. From what we have experienced over the past 2 football seasons, the toxic culture of Canyon athletics starts in the stands, which does not allow the athletes and coaches to ever fully develop and play as a team with a singular purpose. Divisiveness in the stands does not promote or help build culture. It does not help the young men bond as a team or build community outside of school activities. It does not help the team win games, nor does it help us as an ultimate goal of raising a good human. If Canyon Cougars are ever to have a winning culture, we as parents must start supporting all kids of every grade in every sport from the stands with positive attitudes and kindness. Thank you again for allowing me this opportunity.
Our next speaker is Courtney Ledsworth.
Good evening. I'm actually reading on behalf of another parent, an underclassman parent. I'm writing this letter as a concerned and heartbroken parent. For the last 3 years, I've watched my son show up to your program with hope, dedication, and a genuine love for football. For 3 years, I've also watched that passion slowly be stripped away by the way he has been spoken to, treated, and overlooked by your head coaches. No parent should ever have to hear their child repeat the words, "I don't belong on the field." especially not when those words were planted in him by the very coaches who were supposed to guide, support, and build him up. Being told he didn't deserve or didn't belong on a football field is something that leaves a mark. Those statements lodge themselves in a child's heart, and the emotional damage that they cause is something no parent can ignore. Watching the pain this has caused my son has been devastating. I'm speaking up because my son deserves better. All of our athletes deserve better. They deserve honesty, fairness, encouragement, and a safe place to grow, not to be belittled or punished for expressing their concerns. Yet this is exactly what has been happening. Kids are being ignored, pushed aside, or silenced if they dare speak up about how they are being treated. Good players are quitting because of this coaching environment, and despite that, the team continues to struggle with basic fundamentals that should be expected at a high school level. This cycle has been going on for far too long. Many parents, including myself, are tired of watching our children's confidence and future opportunities be damaged by coaches who refuse to lead with integrity. Some of these boys have played since they were little. Some, like my own, are All-American athletes who dreamed of playing college football and possibly in the NFL one day. But the actions of these coaches have stolen that dream right out of them. It only takes one bad coach to crush a kid's confidence and derail a whole football program. Canyon High School has two now in our time here. Discrimination, broken promises, and the emotional mistreatment of players has gone on long enough. In all my years, I've never witnessed a coaching environment as toxic and discouraging as this one. Parents are afraid to speak up out of fear that their children will face retaliation. But this is no way to run a football program. This is not what Canyon High School should stand for, and this is not what we want our children to learn about leadership, teamwork, or sportsmanship. You now have a field full of discouraged players and stands full of frustrated parents, and unless real change happens, this cycle will continue to repeat itself, hurting more kids who don't deserve it. We owe our kids better. You as a district must do better. Thank you.
Our next speaker is David Ford.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My son plays for Canyon's football team, and we do have a toxicity problem here, but it's not with the coaches. It's with the parents in the stands. Over the last 11 years, we've had 6 different head coaches at Canyon High School. 6. The reason for that is because the parents in the stands will not allow them to do their job. Someone is always going to be mad. Always. And if we allow the minority to run the prison, then it gets out of hand. That's what's happened here. Every other school in this district has had the max of 2 head coaches in that same span. That's ridiculous that we've had 6. I coached here from 2018 to 2020. We won a district championship. We had the best record that we've ever had. We got fired that year. A whole group of us, 11 coaches, because a small group of parents did not get their way. There is a cycle going on here, and it's with the parents. You can't have a program unless you have continuity. Hiring a new coach every 2 years will not get that done. The reason why we are losing coaches and teachers is because of the entitlement of parents that don't get their way. And that's what this is. Yes, kids, they play, they come to practice, they get mad, but they learn. They learn from these coaches. They learn from us. But what happens is when they get mad and they don't get their way, that coach goes. Not only that coach, every coach that's with them. So you think about the 6 different head coaches over the last 11 years, 70 or more assistant coaches had their lives ripped up and sent on their way because of some parents that got mad because their kid didn't play, didn't have the position they wanted in a football program. That's not right. And if you continue to allow this to happen, we will never get better here. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jordan Mott.
As a coach's wife, here's what I need to say. I need to start with how we even got here. At the second game this season, I was approached and attacked by 3 senior parents after they had spent the night speaking horribly about the coaches. Loud enough for my own children to hear. My kids sat there looking up at me with confusion in their eyes, asking, "Mommy, why are they saying that about Daddy?" Before I even had time to gather myself, those same parents followed another coach's wife down the stands and attempted to go after her. I stepped between them so she could get away safely and tried to speak to these parents respectfully, calmly, and privately to stop the situation. Instead, they escalated. They used profanity in front of my 3 children who are in this district, who sit beside their classmates, who represent this community. They pointed out which one my husband was, and one mother looked at me and said, "You're a coach's wife? You should know to shut up and keep your mouth shut." That's where we are now. That's what the families behind these coaches are dealing with. Grown adults verbally attacking people in the stands and online because of playing time and frustration. And through all of this, we are expected to smile, stay quiet, and take it. But let me be clear, being silenced doesn't mean we don't feel it. This season has opened my eyes more than any other. The angry parents, the bashing of our husbands and fathers who show up every day for kids who aren't their own. The hurtful words thrown at teenagers, the horrible behavior in the stands and behind keyboards. There's a much bigger picture than high school football. When you've nearly lost a child, when you've prayed for just one more day, you learn quickly that whether your child got 10 minutes or 2 minutes under those lights, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of life. Football is a game. Our families, our children, our marriages, our hearts, those are real. Coaches miss dinners, bedtimes, family moments they will never get back. They pour into other people's children while their own wait patiently at home. Yes, they signed up for the job, but they did not sign up to be disrespected, attacked, or slandered because adults can't handle disappointment. They did not sign up for false narratives, toxic negativity, or attempts to run them off because outcomes didn't match expectations. Behind every coach is a family quietly carrying the weight right along the side of them. And even after all of this, we are still hopeful. We are excited to grow this program. We want unity, not division. We believe good things can happen when a community chooses to come together instead of tearing each other apart. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Brylan Mott.
Hi, I'm Brylan. I am a coach's daughter. The coaches want nothing but the very best for these kids, on the field, in the classroom, and long after they graduate. Their intentions are good. Their hearts are in the right place. Their purpose is bigger than the numbers on a scoreboard. So before you shout from the stands or hit post or tear down a man who gives everything he has, choose grace. Every family is fighting battles you don't see. Every child is dealing with things you may never know. And every coach is doing far more than you realize. High school football is a season, but how we treat people, that becomes our legacy. We can do better, and moving forward, we will. Thank you for your time.
The next agenda item is number 4, Board President's comments. I just want to say thank you to everyone who spoke. I know it's not easy to get up here and pour your heart out. We appreciate it. But I want to say what an honor it is to sit up here and celebrate all the accomplishments of students and staff at Comal ISD, and to see the pride on these parents' faces that you all saw whenever their kids were being recognized. The bravery of one of our own Comal ISD students who just got up here and spoke, that's impressive. I want to thank Dr. Chapman and his staff for always being professional and running this district with purpose and pride. Every single day, you and your team come to work, you navigate and tackle issues, all while educating kids and setting us up for future success. And we as a board appreciate it. From legislation changes, media, and laws coming from the left and right constantly, your leadership is appreciated. As we sit up here and provide governance and oversight for the district, thank you for remaining professional and representing 30,000 students and 3,700 staff members, day in and day out. We will now conduct business and plan for the future. The next agenda item is number 5, Superintendent Reports and Board Information, 5A, Comal Forward. I will hand it over to Dr. Lizzie Johnson.
Test. Okay. All right, well, good evening, President Biasotti, Dr. Chapman, members of the board. It's always a pleasure to be here in Comal ISD. And I just want to say one comment about all those students that came in. And not only was it athletics, but it was fine arts and ag. I love ag kids. They're so awesome. And so I just want to say what an honor it was to be here, to see all of their faces and their just pride for their district, and to see their teachers too, and the fact that you recognize them, because in all reality, that's who makes the magic happen, right? So great job, Comal ISD. I love it. Okay, so tonight I'm here to kick off our exciting Comal Forward. And do I have power here, Amanda? Okay, great. So, as we move forward, all of you are very familiar with me. I've worked in the district many times, and I tend to get called back because we produce good work, and and I think your people like me, so that always makes sense. I love when I come in and I get hugs and well wishes. It's always a good time to be here. But as you know, my role as the facilitator of this committee will be to oversee the committee work, to be a third-party advocate for the committee. My goal is that everyone in that room feels comfortable coming to me, expressing their concerns, expressing their questions, and making sure that their voice is heard, because that's the point of this committee. So the meeting by design, with all of the presentations, the table discussion, the questions by the committee, I've been doing this for close to 10 years now, and no committee is the same, and so I have to make sure that I'm very available and very attentive to their needs, because we are discussing very important items in this room. It's not brick and mortar, and I always like to reiterate that. What we're discussing in this room is student experience and staff experience, and you want those to be at the highest level. And so, as a reminder, I also, I like to say I'm kind of like the cat herder. I prep and make sure everything's there. I work with the demographer, the financial advisor. I will also work with the team from VLK to make sure that they have everything ready, and just the highest level for this committee, because as you know, anytime you serve on a committee, you want to be able to walk into a room and feel honored and have everything organized and everything ready to go. And I have a great teammate here in this district, in Amanda Comstock, and I know that she is going to make sure that everything is ready to go every night that we bring all these people into the room. And then, as a reminder, we've done this before, but these are important meetings that we're talking about, and so the day after, I will be debriefing with the district and with all of the table facilitators to ensure that we've captured everything that we need to know about what happened in that room. Sometimes we have to adjust our agendas and make sure that we're meeting the needs of the committee members. So if there's a topic that's talked about in great detail and we may not have it on the next agenda, then that may be a pivot that we do to make sure that we are providing all the information that they're concerned about. And so my goal is for the committee to reach consensus and commitment regarding the vision of the facilities. Now, one thing I do like to remind everyone is that not everyone in that room is going to get everything they want, but everyone is going to get something they want. And, you know, when you have a lot of facilities like you do, there's not a way we can please everybody, but I do have a way to bring adults to consensus to make sure that they don't work in silos when they're in that room and they're thinking about the whole district and not just their needs. And so we have put together, this is high level. This schedule that we've put together for this committee is very detailed. But I just wanted to give you the 50,000 foot level. You know, the first meeting is really about getting to know you and establishing our norms. Anytime you work with a group, you have to make sure they understand what are the norms, what are the rules in this room, because that's how we get to where we need to be. And then we'll have School Finance 101 that night, making sure they understand M&O monies, INS monies, why we have to move forward with potential bond elections and things of that nature. And then Dr. Chapman will be giving a State of the District address to this group from the beginning, letting them know where the district has been, where we are now, and where the district is going. And then meeting 2 will be a comprehensive report of your demographics, which, you know, always changing in this area of the world, right? And a 50,000 foot level of your facility needs. And then we're going to put these people on yellow school buses, yellow dogs as I call them, and we're going to take them around the district on a Saturday morning, and we're going to let them get inside these buildings and really look at them. This is very important because I could show them pictures all day long of your needs, but until they can actually see it, that's when the magic happens. Now, you know, your district's a little big, and so I doubt we will all go to the same schools. I bet that'll be a concerted effort where we have a table and we split them into 3 groups and we have 3 different tours, and then they come back and they report to each other because, you know, I'd hate to only concentrate on one area of the district. We want to make sure they see everything, and with your square mileage, getting around on a Saturday morning may be a little difficult. So we're gonna make that work for everyone. And then our big meeting, number 4, is when we start to unpack the actual projects for the committee. This is the night we start unveiling cost. And that is very difficult for the average person to understand, building and construction cost. And, you know, since 2020, it's been quite a difference in that world. And so we really get them to understand why costs are where they are, why labor is, and how we build in contingencies and things of that nature. Not only are we going to do one night of projects, but we're going to do a second because we don't want to rush the committee. Timing in this is very important, and we want them to have enough time to absorb this information. So we've decided to make 2 nights of project presentations. They'll be taking home a homework that night, a project priority worksheet, and I tell them they have to do their homework, and that's when they start putting together a potential bond for the first time. Realize they have no budget yet, and that's important. I don't want them to be thinking about money. I need them to be thinking about needs and what are the student needs in this district. That's first and foremost. Then they come back to meeting 6 and they do get a budget. Your financial advisor will present your capacity and talk about all of those things, and then we will have the actual table vote that night. So the second time they've been asked to put a bond together, because I've learned through this, doing this many times, if you only do it once, it's not enough. They need time to think about it and digest the information. Then finally, we'll come back to meeting 7, and we will actually use a voting application in the room, and that's called Co-Voice, and it's what we use to put together these amazing packages, and we'll put a nice big bow on it, and that'll be the 3rd time they've been able to practice, and that's their final show, is what I like to say. The other times are dress rehearsals. We have built in a meeting 8 just in case we need one more night, and if we have to extend some of these other items, we'll be telling the committee of all 8 dates so they are aware to hold those on their calendar. And that's done because I go back to this point. We do not want to rush this. This is something very important that we want to take very seriously and give the committee a lot of time to absorb this information. And so, like I went and said earlier, not everyone's going to get everything they want, and this is how I get them there. Adults don't work in groups a lot. They work in silos, and so they think about their job and what they're doing, and then they pass it on to the next person. So I start by teaching them these soft skills, you might say, and how to work collaboratively. And that's something they're going to have to learn in that room and get really good at. But I show you this gradients of agreement because not every time do they have to agree with every single thing to keep the process moving. And that's important. And even from the very first night, I get them to join in consensus on something at their table, and we start practicing that. And it's important that I get them to understand that they are working in a group, but they have to keep their eye on the prize, which is students and students first. And then our dynamics of group decision making that I explained to them is every time a new topic is introduced, most people diverge and they pick a side, you might say, and then they find the grown zone. So if you'll recall, anytime I work with committees in the district, they stay at the same table. We don't allow them to move around in the room. I need them to get used to those people and used to the people that they're working with, so they're honest and open, and that's what I want. So that's where the grown zone comes in. And then eventually we will converge to a decision point. Now, the one thing on this slide that doesn't wait for our decision making is time. So we have timed agendas. And we're very adamant about making sure when we tell the committee they'll be there 2 hours, they will only be there 2 hours. And that's why we've built in enough meetings to ensure they're getting the information they need. You know, this is the end of the day for a lot of these people, and their brains have worked all day. It's good to get 2 hours out of them. After that, you're pretty much talking into thin air at that point. They're done. So we need them there and present, and after those 2 hours, I know it's time for them to go home. So I know the district has been discussing and deciding upon committee members, but you know, I gave this to Dr. Chapman and to his leadership group, and this is just an idea of some of the people who may be on the committee. One group I want to point out, and that's students. Every table will have a high school student. And that's important because they're your clientele, and they need to be in the room where decisions are being made, and they need to be a part of that decision making. They live in those buildings for a lot of the time that they're awake during the day, and so we want to hear from them. Plus, I'll be honest with you, the adults tend to act better when the kids are in the room, and that helps me as the facilitator, right? Okay, so we've put together a good group, and I know the district's been working on that, and you know, like I said, they'll get real used to each other, and I tell them from the first night, get used to it. This is your family here in Comal ISD, and you're stuck with those people. I hope you like them. And so tonight, I've brought forth to you a very basic charge, and I'm going to leave this with you. We have about a month. The committee kicks off in January, and I will actually be back next week to meet with leadership. But this is a charge that it's not very prescriptive. It's very universal. But I want you to take some time to look at it because this will be presented to the committee. And let me explain that to you. I need them to stay in their lane. And they like to talk about the parking lot or the carpet in the building, the potential building or whatever it is. And they kind of try to get away from their focus, which should be growth, finances, and facility conditions, and making sure the student experience is top notch. And so I like to present them with a charge from the board so they know when they start getting off topic, I can pull them back and go, okay, wait a minute, let's pull up our charge. Is that in our charge? No, it's not. So let's get back to work and let's focus. And so I'm going to leave this with you all, and any ideas or concerns or revisions you have, please feel free to send those to me. Amanda obviously has my contact. I think most of you do as well. And so we can adjust and get this ready for that January kickoff meeting. So really tonight, I just wanted to come and kick off, and get excited about this. Comal Forward is a huge initiative for your district. And Anytime you start talking about facilities and about money, you know, it's very sensitive topics. But we want to keep our focus on students in that room. Every decision in that room is going to be about students. And we have a lot of adult opinions in that room as well. But my job is to keep them focused and aligned so that at the end, when we come back to you and bring you a presentation and a package recommendation, it is the best work they ever could have done. And that's my goal for you when I come back and stand here in front of you again in late spring. So other than that, that's my presentation. I'd love to see if any of you have any questions or anything you'd like to leave me with tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
I sat on the Comal Forward committee with Russ the last bond, and Dr. Chapman came in about halfway through, towards the end, and I enjoyed those meetings just to hear. And that's what we do as a board. When we go to those, we don't participate. We sit in the back and we listen. And this go around, Ms. Shaw and I are on the committee. And anytime that either of us can't make it, I've asked other board members to go because I think it's so valuable to be able to hear firsthand. One thing I do want to make sure I'm correct on, the meetings, I know you have the list and you have it all laid out. Those will rotate, correct, throughout the district, the location?
Yes, we are planning that. I, in fact, came and spent a whole day with Mrs. Comstock, and we went and toured locations and talked about technology and audio and everything we could to make it a good experience for the committee. Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Board members, anybody have any? Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Madam President. So, Dr. Johnson, this is not our first rodeo here, right? And but I'm very excited for the chance for you to lead this committee. So I think it's, I know we're going to get a great recommendation out of this committee, but I think just as important to me is the education that all of those stakeholders are going to get, because they're going to spread the word on that stuff, and that's so important. And so when it comes to the charter, I would just say that it looks awesome, but I would add unique to the finance bullet, because we have such a unique situation here with our 20% homestead exemption. I know I've never talked about that before on the dais, but I think that's important because we are not going to be able to do anything to our facilities without the bond. Like, we don't have any extra money in M&O to do some small stuff here and there. Like, it's bond or nothing for us. So I think that's an important point. And I know you didn't give us a lot of your personal qualifications, but I know you've probably done, how many of these committees have you led?
Well, I couldn't tell you the exact number up here, but I've been responsible for leading over $16 billion in past bonds since 2018.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
awesome.
Sir. With a B.
With the B.
That B word, yep.
That's a lot of bonds.
Yes, sir. A lot of different personalities I have encountered, and I love that. That is why I love this type of project, because I love to walk into a room and see so many different people, and at the end, they're all united, and it's for students.
Yeah, awesome. And I think what I really liked with you did the feeder pattern committee for the purple side of our district.
Yes.
And I really liked the way you led the group and kept them on task, and we're certainly honored their time. So I'm excited to see your work with this committee. So thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Jones.
Thank you, President Biasotti. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. David and I served on this many moons ago, and it's so refreshing to see what you did last month. I'm excited to see what the committee members are going to bring forth going through these meetings. Quick question. I know that there's 7 meetings, potential 8. What's the timeline of that? How many months?
So we start in January, and our final meeting is in April.
Okay.
So our goal would be to bring you the recommendation in May, but not for action, just for information, because the bond wouldn't actually have to be called until August for the AG's timeline.
So
Yes, ma'am.
perfect. And I think just to point out, 100% at every meeting, because you miss one of these meetings and it is critical information that we're not getting. And so I'm just really excited. I appreciate the breakdown, kind of the agreements. I was honored to have attended one of them last year on the purple side of the district, and the practicality that you bring to it, but the flexibility. and the knowledge. And I saw you kept them on track. You let them have their emotions and their thoughts and everything. And so I just really appreciate that. In honor of Jason York, who is not here tonight, he always says students is why we're here.
Yeah,
So just thank you for that, and I look forward to seeing what you're going to do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you very much, Madam President, and thank you for being here. I am really excited to be sitting in and listening on this. And I'm the only one apparently who has never done that before, so that's fine. But I just have a question because, everything is all about the students, but the kind of the key determiner of how we serve our students is the educators. How are their views kind of, I know that they're going to be members of the committee, but how does that work that, some folks are probably more knowledgeable and than others, certainly than me.
So there will be educators on the committee, yes, ma'am. But also as the VLK team has been working through the projects and thinking about needs assessment, I know they've also talked to many of the leaders in the district and educators in the district at campuses and then at the district level to also garner their knowledge and their opinions, because the experts are looking at these buildings, of course, because that's important, but also the people that are in those buildings a lot of the time of the day, that's really important too. I mean, some of those principals spend more time in those buildings than they do at their own home, and so getting their opinions and feedback is very important. And also we will have some very distinguished table facilitators in our group, and they will be principals, and they are going to have a wealth of knowledge to share with the committee as the process unpacks. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Yes,
and
thank
we
you.
will see you soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, the next agenda item is 5B, academic calendar proposal for the school years 2026-27 and 27-28. I will turn it over to Dr. Ben Peacock.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Chapman. My name is Ben Peacock, and I'm the Director of Secondary Leadership. Tonight, we present to you 2 academic calendars for your consideration: a draft proposal for the 2026-2027 school year and a draft proposal for the 2027-2028 school year. Copies of these draft calendars have been provided under your blue cover sheet and in your online agenda packet. The calendar development process began in September at our first District Educational Improvement Council meeting. The DEIC consists of teachers, administrators, parents, business leaders, and community members who advise the district on various goals and programs, including the academic calendar. During this first DEIC meeting, the committee collaborated to discuss, develop, and define their preferred parameters for the academic calendars they were tasked with developing. It was at this first DEIC meeting that the council became aware of our intent to build 2 academic calendars, 2026-2027 and 2027-2028. Their reaction to this 2-year calendar goal, both then and in subsequent weeks, has been unequivocally positive. This year, the DEIC's highest priorities include the following: starting school on a Tuesday in August, ending school before Memorial Day, scheduling a staff development day in January before students return, a long Easter weekend, Good Friday plus the Monday after Easter, early release in December on the last day of the fall semester, early release in May on the last day of the spring semester, 2 weeks of professional development in August, a long President's Day weekend in February, a full week off for Thanksgiving, and elementary parent-teacher conference early release days in October. Using these DEIC recommendations, draft calendars for both the 2026-2027 and 2027-2028 school years were created in early October. Support services departments were then consulted and given an opportunity to review and provide feedback on both calendar drafts. The DEIC then reviewed and offered feedback on the draft calendar for each year. Following our second DEIC meeting on November 3rd, we continued to review questions and comments provided by the DEIC while seeking additional feedback from support services departments. After reviewing the calendar drafts at our third DEIC meeting on Monday, December 1st, we finalized the 2 calendar drafts you see before you tonight. The calendar development process this year presented various strengths and challenges. From the very beginning, the development of the 2026, 2027, and 2027, 2028 academic calendars was influenced by the overwhelming popularity from both the DEIC and internal stakeholders for the 2025, 2026 academic calendar. Just like last year, those of us involved in the process frequently encountered a "don't mess too much with it" sentiment. One obvious challenge this year was the creation of 2 calendars. Nailing down the specific dates for local events and festivals 2 years down the road did prove challenging, but we are confident that we bring before you tonight 2 calendars that prioritize both student learning and the recommendations of our community members in the DEIC. As demanding as it was to build a calendar for 2 years in advance, I think I speak for all of us involved in the calendar process when I say that the clarity, predictability, and consistency of a 2-year calendar far outweigh the challenges we faced. One obvious strength of the calendar development process these last few months has been the strong participation of the DEIC itself. Our community is passionate about our schools, and this passion permeated the calendar development process, where we consistently enjoyed over 80% attendance on Monday nights at each DEIC meeting. Choosing a spring break is often challenging when building a school calendar, but this year we handled that challenge swiftly and smartly. When selecting the dates for spring break, considerations included academic impact and the spring breaks of surrounding school districts and colleges. It was decided to schedule spring break during the second week of March, both years, to coincide with our partnership college, Northeast Lakeview, where several hundred Comal ISD students take courses to obtain dual credit. A few other developments in the calendar process deserve to be mentioned tonight. In early November, we received some extremely helpful insight from our accountability and assessment team. After attending a state assessment conference in Round Rock, team members reminded us that our new state assessment system, called the Student Success Tool, or SST for short, would require a longer testing window in May of 2028. It quickly became clear that if we want to provide our students and campuses with the most balanced, flexible testing window possible, we need to offer as many school days as we can in the month of May, while still ending school before Memorial Day, which is a major request from our DEIC stakeholders. Graduation is another contingency that affects the calendar. Since our current agreement with Strahan Arena on the Texas State campus provides for Comal ISD graduations on the Wednesday and Saturday before Memorial Day, it is paramount that we end school during the week before Memorial Day weekend. The challenge this year was that, unlike the previous few years, Memorial Day in 2027 and also in 2028 is much later than it is in 2026 or it was in 2025. Ending school during the week before Memorial Day weekend meets our graduation needs and fulfills our obligation to the DEIC to end school before Memorial Day Monday. In order to accommodate the new testing system in 2028 and to meet our graduation needs in 2027 and 2028, we needed to end school later in May, which is why we pushed the start of school in August 1 week later than it was this year in August of 2025. It is important to note that all three calendars, 2025-2026, 2026-2027, and 2027-2028, all include the same number of instructional days, amount of instructional minutes, and number of staff development days. As you can see from the chart displayed in this presentation and on the copies of both drafts you've been provided tonight, the two calendars we propose this evening have almost everything in common with the academic calendar that has proven to be so popular and so effective the last few years, including the same number of instructional days, instructional minutes, staff development days, summer professional development days, and banked days. Both of our proposed calendar drafts easily exceed the minimum state instructional minutes requirement of 75,600 minutes. The only major difference between this year's calendar and the drafts we are proposing tonight is the start date. In order to provide for a larger testing window in May of 2028 and to meet our graduation obligations in 2027 and 2028, we propose starting school 1 week later in August and ending school 1 week later in May. However, as mentioned previously, the end dates in both 2027 and 2028 are before Memorial Day. I want to end with a brief review of the top 10 recommendations made by our Comal District Educational Improvement Council earlier this fall. As you can see, the calendars we bring to you tonight meet all 10 of the recommendations offered by our DEIC. At the end of last week's DEIC meeting, we asked members to anonymously support or reject each calendar presented to them. The results of that survey are included in the pie charts before you tonight. All 52 survey respondents, 100%, supported the draft 2026-2027 academic calendar. 51 out of 52 respondents, 98%, supported the draft 2027-2028 calendar. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to describe the hard work and dedication that so many of our community members and Comal ISD staff members have put forth the last 3 months. At this time, I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Peacock, and thank you to you and your efforts to hear and listen and run those meetings and do it so patiently. So thank you for that. Board members, are there any questions regarding 5B, academic calendar proposal for school years for 26, 27, 27, 28? Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. Obviously, great presentation. I appreciate the passion in which you brought to the calendar, this calendar presentation. I think it's always hard to see what goes on behind the scenes, but I know you all have been working your tails off to get this right. You consider all of the factors and testing and curriculum and holidays, and there's a lot more to it than just putting it together, and it seems very simple when you present it to us, right? It feels like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but no, obviously you've got a lot more that goes into it, so thank you for all the hard work, including yourself and all the staff that have had input in this, and obviously the DEIC to recommend this. This seems very obvious to me for us to move forward with this, but it is a lot of work that goes into it. So I appreciate all the hard work and the great presentation.
Thank you.
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Dr. Peacock. As part of the DEIC last year, I know that it's a little bit of herding cats and a lot of priorities, and I think this is a great solution. I just have one question on the 2 weeks of staff development in August. Does that have an impact on Comal U? Will we only be doing Comal U in August and not in June and August?
No, ma'am, that will not affect Comal U. Comal U will go on as scheduled with a Comal U session in early June and one in late July, early August. It will not be affected.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garner?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I've had the great opportunity this year to be on the DEIC committee, so I appreciate Ms. Cronkite's leadership of that committee. I've enjoyed those very informative sessions. Dr. Peacock, your presentation skills are excellent every time. I almost feel like I'm in church listening to this. This is really good stuff here. So, so excellent job. I mean, to get excited about the calendar like you do is outstanding.
Thank you.
So the one I was reading through the thing about from the Texas Education Code, as I was studying for this meeting, and the one thing that stood out to me I didn't realize before, it says, may not begin instruction for students for a school year before the fourth Monday in August. Has that rule always been there?
Yes, sir, it has. But remember, we did DOI,
Yeah.
and so when we did
Yeah.
DOI, then that
That's
gave
what-
us one of the calendar options to not do it the fourth Monday of August. But
Okay.
it's been around since probably 2017, 2019. Prior to that, it was the 180-day rule.
Yeah.
Then they came back and said, due to two big players, Six Flags of Texas, that was a big one, and Anheuser-Busch, to say, hey, we're losing billions of dollars, and therefore legislation did pick to say all school districts must start the fourth Monday. But when DOI came in, majority of the districts took that on to say, hey, you shouldn't be able to dictate when we start. We are part of that, so therefore we could start earlier if we so chose.
Okay, yeah, and because it seemed like, especially in the recent years, there's been a lot of districts starting early, and it's because of the DOI. That makes sense. Yeah, and so obviously, I know traditionally, this is certainly a calendar that our community will embrace. I know that for sure. I personally would always want to get the kids in school sooner. However, I understand we have to balance that with the community desires and such. But now, one of the reasons that I was always concerned about how early we started was because of the number of educational or days you have in the class prior to state testing. And now that state testing is transitioning, I think this is probably more for Dr. Chapman, this question of, I guess that allows us a little more flexibility, or it's not such a hard stop on getting it done before the state test, because now we have a longer window before they do those.
Yeah, slightly, but I mean, if I'm going to be transparent, we really could use an extra 5 to 7 instructional days.
Yeah.
I am not making that recommendation. I am not. And so, but if I had to be honest to say to meet all the TEKS and the requirements, could we use more? Yes. Does that flexibility in that window support us to get more of those TEKS in before the dates? Yes, it does support that. It helps.
Okay, that's great, and great job. Thank you very much.
When I was looking at this calendar and you're giving us 27, 28 dates, and you start talking about graduation, I started to have a little stroke up here because I'm gonna have a senior that year. Ah! Well, thank you again. Appreciate the work in the DEIC. So, everybody good? All right. The next agenda item is 5C, Bond Construction and Capital Project Update. I will turn this over to Mr. Stahl and Mrs. Hale.
I'm not quite sure we can live up to following a preacher, but. Good evening, Madam President, Trustees, and Dr. Chapman. Tonight, we are pleased to present our December update on bond and capital projects. This report reflects our continued commitment to delivering high-quality learning environments, aligned with our district's strategic priorities. In addition, Ms. Jenny Hale from Business Services will provide parallel insight into these projects from a financial perspective, ensuring we maintain transparency and fiscal responsibility throughout our work. Our construction efforts are directly aligned with Priority 6 of the 2023 through 2028 Collaborative Vision Strategic Plan, Facilities Growth and Planning. These projects are not just about infrastructure, they are strategic investments in the future of our students, staff, and community. We will begin with items from the 2021 bond program, which has focused on critical upgrades and deferred maintenance across several campuses. At Smithson Valley High School, HVAC control upgrades are underway. We're using phased commissioning to minimize disruption, as well as coordination with upcoming interior renovation projects. and completion is anticipated in March of 2027. Our focus remains on quality assurance and staff training for a smooth handoff when the time arrives.
From a financial perspective, this work is part of the district-wide HVAC controls initiative and carries a budget of $279,000. To date, the district has incurred costs of approximately $54,000, which represents about 19% of the budget.
The interior refresh at Canyon High School began over the Thanksgiving break. This is phased work scheduled during non-instructional periods, continuing through Christmas break, spring break, and into the summer, with full completion targeted for August of 2026. The first step was the removal of VCT flooring, and subsequent phases will address lighting and finishes.
For the Bond 2021 Canyon High School projects, the interior refresh is initiating our financial activity. The Canyon High School interior refresh is currently budgeted at $7.7 million. At this time, just under $700,000 has been spent. We expect the financial activity to intensify as we continue working through the various projects on this campus.
Overall, the Bond 2021 program is approaching the finish line. Approximately 93% of construction projects are completed or they are in progress, reflecting steady delivery across roofing, mechanical, and systems work.
Voters approved $445.8 million in November of 2021 for projects that included new campuses, buses, land acquisition, and technology upgrades across the district. To date, approximately $388 million, or 87% of the total, has been spent towards the completion of these projects.
The Bond 2023 program is advancing multiple large growth-driven projects across modernization efforts that improve capacity, staffing, and student experience. As we transition into these updates, you'll see consistent themes: early foundation and steel progress on new facilities, concurrent interior renovations on existing campuses, and proactive procurement of long lead equipment to protect project schedules. Middle School number 9 has completed its concrete foundation, and steel erection with MEP rough ends is progressing. We are targeting a summer 2027 for completion, with envelope installation and dry-in as upcoming milestones.
With certain scopes of work coming to completion, the financial side is showing an increase in activity as invoices are processed and paid. The construction of Middle School number 9 is currently at $123.5 million, with approximately $44 million, or 36%, being expensed at this time.
Life Bridges, the main campus, has moved from site preparation into active excavation, with concrete pier work underway to support the building's structural loads. The project team is sequencing earthwork, foundation drilling, and steel mobilization to keep momentum. Upcoming activities include grade beams, underslab MEP, and initial vertical framing once pier caps are cured and inspected.
Building on that progress, the financial outlook reflects early stage activity. The Life Bridges Replacement Campus carries a budget of $15.9 million, with just over $1 million, or 7%, expensed at this time. As we approach major construction milestones, we anticipate a consistent and measurable increase in expenditures over the upcoming months.
As part of your consent agenda this evening, GMP number 1 for Elementary School 22, totaling $2,074,137, secures critical procurement of the elevator, HVAC systems, including chillers, air handling units, and rooftop units, as well as critical electrical switchgear. By initiating procurement ahead of February 2026 construction start, the project is strategically positioned to mitigate supply chain risk and maintain its trajectory toward a fall 2027 opening. Upcoming priorities include finalizing bid packages, onboarding contractors, and planning site mobilization to assure alignment with delivery timelines.
With construction documents now finalized and contracts being awarded, we expect financial activity to accelerate. Elementary School Number 22 carries a budget of $71.8 million, with just over $2 million, or about 2.8%, is being expensed.
The baseball and softball locker facilities at Canyon Lake High School now have a completed roof structure, while the interior renovation transforming the former dance space into a multi-purpose room has reached substantial completion. The locker facilities are progressing toward the February 2026 completion, with enclosure, interior build-out, and MEP trims next on deck.
Reflecting on that progress, the financial picture shows steady advancement as well. A total of $11 million is allocated for reinvestment projects at Canyon Lake High School, and to date, just over $7 million, or 64%, has been spent.
Memorial Early College High School is progressing on schedule. Roofing work began in October and remains aligned with a February 2026 completion. The team has sequenced work to protect instruction and coordinated material deliveries to minimize disruption to campus activities.
Phase 1 of the MEX HVAC and roofing project was included in Bond 21. Phase 2 of the project is included in Bond 23, System Package 3B. The Bond 23 allocated budget for Phase 2 of the MEX HVAC and roofing project totals $6.6 million. Approximately $4 million, or 61%, has been expensed.
Smithson Valley High School is showing visible progress, with walls up on the JROTC and wrestling facility and preparations underway for the dance, cheer, and athletic locker room areas to begin this spring. Although these projects include two major work streams, one that started in July of 2025 and another one beginning in April of 2026, both are targeting August 2026 completion. The team has coordinated structural trades, long lead finishes, and specialty equipment to ensure both scopes converge smoothly for a single operational date.
Reflecting on that momentum, the financials show strong engagement. The Smithson Valley renovation projects have expensed $12.5 million, representing about 40% of the budget. As design work concludes and renovation accelerates on the dance, cheer, and athletic spaces, we anticipate additional financial commitments in the near future.
For our system packages update, multiple projects continue to address campus mechanical and lighting upgrades with a focus on reliability, comfort, and efficiency. At Startsville Elementary, energy recovery unit installation is on track to finish by the end of December 2025. This supports improved ventilation performance. Concurrently, Churchill Middle School pre-work is progressing to enable comprehensive HVAC and lighting replacements, with substantial completion targeted for August of 2026.
The Startsville and Churchill Middle School HVAC projects are part of our system packages. In addition to these two projects, there are several more projects also included in our system packages. A total of $70.8 million is allocated for Bond 23 system packages. Approximately 48%, or $33.7 million, has been spent as we move through completion of all the projects.
Lastly, at Canyon High School, the roofing team is executing removal and replacement in zones to maintain building operations, while some of this work has also occurred during overnight hours. This ensures we are moving on schedule and without disruption to the campus.
The Canyon High School reinvestment project under Bond 23 carries a budget of $32 million. To date, we've spent about $2 million, or approximately 5%. Additional scopes begin in January, and we anticipate a sharp increase in expenditures.
For overview, the Bond 2023 portfolio is broadly active, with approximately 84% of the projects completed or under construction. Our strategy in these bond projects is emphasize early procurement, controlled phasing, and rigorous commissioning.
Building on that progress, the financials reflect strong execution across the portfolio. Of the $558.6 million voters approved in May, approximately $194 million, or 35%, has been incurred on designing, initiating, constructing, and completing projects, demonstrating our commitment to value and transparency.
And before I provide the closing statement, I'd like to note that each of you received an exhibit tonight. It is a project schedule across all of our bond projects. It shows where we started, where we are at currently in the physical construction of these projects, and when we anticipate them to be finished. I'd like to give Mr. Jaime Alvarez Calderon much credit for that, for working with our construction team and our contractors to develop that for you. This concludes our December update on our bond projects. We appreciate your continued support and oversight, and we are happy to address any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you both for that presentation. I say it every time, but the transparency is fabulous. The feedback that we get, I think I can speak for all of us. If anybody asks, go to the website, check it out. You can see it. And then you guys just nail it every single time. This presentation is helpful. I like the updates. I like the charts too. So thank you for all your work and getting this done. Board members, are there any questions regarding 5C, bond construction and capital project update? Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. Obviously, a great presentation. Huge amount of work that the construction team has done, obviously with finance helping get these, I guess, invoices, bills, whatever you want to call them, paid off. And I love seeing the schedule. It's a great thing for us to see the kind of finality of the work, right? It's always hard for us, like, we see the money, we see the progress, right? Like, as far as where we are on construction. But seeing a actual sort of end date is a nice thing to see now. And it looks like mid-2027, you'll be close to wrapping, at least, I would assume, the majority of these things that you had today. I assume that includes 20 and 23, the majority of that completing. So that's huge for us. I think it gives our taxpayers not only the transparency that Ms. Biasotti talked about, but also, I guess, velocity on our ability for our taxpayers and our bond money to work. So thank you for continuing to push forward. I think a lot of these projects seem to have accelerated in the past, I'll give it a year, and we have, I think, a good pace at which we're going. I know that probably puts a lot of burden on construction team and the rest of the organization, but thank you for the hard work and continued diligence on getting these projects completed out. So thank you. I don't have any questions other than that. It was more of a statement, so thank you.
Mr. Garner?
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, so I will certainly agree with my fellow board members. That was excellent, very thorough, and there's just a ton of projects going on. So great insight on the logistics piece and the lead time and stuff. I just had a question on, like, when we're having to order stuff well ahead of time. Totally makes sense. Is there ever any issues with, like, does the contractor store that stuff when how does that work? Is there ever any issues with that?
Yes, sir. The general contractor or the subcontractor can store it. We can also work with the manufacturer as far as a start date for a chiller, for instance, and schedule that at an appropriate time where maybe we don't have to store it as long, so it doesn't get damaged on the job site. But we have the avenue of the general contractor or the vendor, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, President Biasotti. I think we say it every time, but that website is just probably one of my favorite things because it doesn't come from my mouth. It comes from the district and it comes with transparency and truth. And so, home run on that one. I look at this and I think I've done well on my to-do list, and then I see all the projects that you have to do on your to-do list, and I feel very small in that regard. But props to y'all for maintaining this, because it's not all the pretty things that, you know, taxpayers are seeing and everything like that, but there are things that are going to help our students in the spots of their environment for their education. And so to see the teamwork of the construction team and the finance team working so positively and efficiently together is very, very encouraging to see. We obviously just had our Comal Forward initial discussion just earlier this evening, and so I really hope they pay attention to what y'all are doing, because it matters, and the decisions that they're making, y'all are putting it not just on paper, but into our schools as well. So congratulations, you guys. Please keep up the good pace. I did write down as well those end dates. I really like them. I like the visuals, like seeing them, and I think our taxpayers and others in the community will as well. Great job.
Thank you.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you, Madam President, and Ms. Jones stole my thunder a little bit too. I just wanted to foot stomp the fact that, you know, we just talked about Comal Forward and what comes next, and the kind of work that you are, the two of you and your teams are doing together, is just sets us up very much for success for whatever comes next, and the needs assessment, and to know that this district is going to take new projects forward with the same expertise, efficiency, cost effectiveness that you're already exhibiting. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. All right, thank you both again. Keep up the good work. All right, the next agenda item is 5D, Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. First report, Ms. Jenny Hale.
Okay, now we're going to get really exciting with some financial information. Okay, good evening, President Biasotti, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Chapman. Earlier this afternoon, we held a public hearing to review the first rating in depth. We're pleased to share a summary of the 2025 first rating for Comal ISD with you this evening. The School Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, or FIRST, was developed in 1999 in response to Senate Bill 875 of the 76th Legislature. The purpose of the FIRST training is to make sure that districts are allocating fiscal resources to students and instruction. There are two goals of the FIRST rating. Goal number one is to ensure that Texas public schools are held accountable for the quality of their financial management practices and that they improve upon these practices. Goal number two is to encourage Texas public schools to better manage financial resources to provide the maximum allocation possible for direct instructional purposes. The first rating is determined by the applicable number of points based upon indicators divided into three sections: critical indicators, solvency indicators, and financial indicators. Each district is scored according to 21 indicators. Points are assessed based on information from the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report and the student information from PEAMS. These areas addressed include the annual external audit, government disclosures, asset management, debt management, and administrative costs. The scoring system of the first rating mirrors the A through F grading criteria used in our schools, with 90 to 100 points, resulting in an A or a superior rating. Please note that the 2025 first rating is based on the 2023 to 2024 data. The first rating begins with 4 critical indicators. These indicators are rated with either a pass or fail determination and include data accuracy, timeliness, and internal controls. The district met all criteria of this section and passed each critical indicator. The solvency indicators assess the district's overall financial health. These indicators include fund balance changes, number of days of cash on hand, assets to liabilities ratio, debt service ratio, administrative costs, and staff to student ratios. The district met all criteria of this section and passed or received full credit for all solvency indicators. The financial competence indicators include measures of compliance with state laws, website posting of required information, absence of material weaknesses and noncompliance, and timely discussion of budgetary changes. The district met all criteria of the financial competence section and passed or received full credit for all indicators. We are proud to report that Comal ISD scored a perfect score of 100 points and received a superior achievement rating for the 2025 School First rating. Thank you for your time this evening. We will now answer any of your questions.
Mr. Garner?
Thank you, Madam President. That was a nice mic drop on the last slide there. And we got 100. So that was awesome. Yeah, I think so. We spend a lot of our times up here just being cheerleaders because you guys are doing so awesome in every area. Maybe even I could say yell leaders, but anyway. I would just say that specifically for the finances, I mentioned earlier our unique financial challenges here with the 20% homestead exemption, and I think that makes it even more difficult to obtain 100 on this type of thing. I know going forward, it's going to be very difficult for us to maintain the fund balance needed to meet the marks here, but we appreciate everything you guys do, all of the attention and detail that goes into getting us where we're at and keeping us, at such a high level, and just it's the transparency, it's very easy to speak how proudly I am to be a trustee in this district because of how awesome this district is, and it's because of all you guys' hard work. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? Congratulations and thank you. Yes, Dr. Chapman.
You know one thing too, talk about fund balance and where we are with that. And we talked a little bit about it in the audit, but do y'all realize in the last 3.5 years we've increased the fund balance by $46 million?
That's crazy.
That's pretty exceptional. Yeah. So it's that team and the work that they're doing, and you adopt a deficit budget every year, but we've been able to put back that much money to really get us in a good situation moving forward. So I got to continue to give a shout out to our finance team for that.
Absolutely. The next agenda item is 5E, TASB Policy Update 126, our first reading, Dr. Randy Davis.
It's getting better. We've got policies tonight. So good evening, President Biasotti, Board of Trustee members, Dr. Chapman. Tonight I'm introducing TASB Policy Update 125. Update 125 stems primarily from the enacted legislation from the 89th Texas Legislative Session. Tonight's update provides the board an opportunity to respond to a legal requirement to consider, review, and adopt local policy revisions. The legal policies are also located on your computer and provide the legal framework for key areas of district operations. These legal policies are not adopted by the board. As we said, this is a first reading of the local policy update 125, and tonight no action, 126, I apologize, and no action is required at this January 2026 board meeting. At the January 2026 board meeting, I will present these policies for a second reading, that's policy update 126, and at that time ask for approval and adoption of the local policies. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. So looking through this cumbersome amount of changes that we have to local policy, I can't tell what is lawful, meaning what is dictated by law that we have to have in there, and what is included by admin or concluded by the district that are, because we're making changes, we have decided that we're going to make this change as well. So I don't know where the legislation has pushed our hand to make these changes locally. or what y'all have done on an admin school district level to make these changes. So that's where it's a bit blurry for me on like, okay, great, you want us to review this, 100% understood, but I don't know what's lawful and what's not, if that makes sense.
It's all TASB legal. So we haven't gone in there, we review it, but we didn't go, oh, we would prefer administration to do this versus this. So it's the common practice from TASB legal that have made those recommendations based off of the legal policies to reflect current practice and local. So our Eric Narcissus, remember our guy that came up here? He's the one that has given us all of these recommendations. So we didn't come in here and make any of these changes.
Okay.
So these are.
This is all TASB recommended changes.
Yes.
Okay.
And majority of those changes are going to reflect majority of the school districts across the state of Texas. You know, you really have to be very careful on how you interpret law, kind of like a cell phone policy that if you don't really, you think you know what the law is, but you really don't, and then they'll come back down and slap you around a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of one example.
I guess my looking through this, I looked through most of these changes. I think mine, and I'll just give you an example. So there's page 74 on our agenda is around the use of artificial intelligence detection by the district. And it talks about artificial intelligence, which is, to me, a touchy subject. I know we said we weren't going to change local policy around AI stuff, at least at our board, one of our board meetings / one of our workshops. And then I guess secondary to that, in looking at SB 12 and looking at the majority of the legislation that passed, I don't see anything there around AI in being dictated. Like there shouldn't. What I'm saying is, there is no law. It doesn't, in my opinion, that there's a law around AI and how school districts should implement said regulation or.
Yeah, and they're still not.
So that's
and then they're still determining some of that with the commissioner as well to have some conversations. Therefore, if we were to put in any kind of rules, it wouldn't be at this point today under policy. It would be under regulation, which would be a procedure or a process of.
Okay.
Yeah, there's still too much flexibility and also too much unknown.
So is that would be a TEA recommendation and not a lawful recommendation?
It would be an ISD recommendation. We have gotten very, very little to almost zero from the TEA side of things.
The way this reads, though, it gives y'all a lot of
flexibility.
Yes. And oversight on.
Correct.
Okay. With not necessarily being introduced by legislation.
Correct.
Or by TEA.
Correct.
So TASB is making this recommendation not from legislation and not from TEA.
Not unless someone knows something different. But
no, I don't know anything different on that.
Not to my knowledge.
So they just put this in there. Okay. I'm pointing out an example of like that's not in legislation. Right. That's TEA hasn't recommended anything. Right. I'm not saying this entirety of these changes are like that, but this is one example of that not being. Okay. I'm just pointing that one out. Oh, no. There's no doubt that that's coming. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just concerned that if TASB's giving us these recommendations, that we are then blindly taking this, and I would point out that one as being something we should look at. So.
No, and while a majority of these policies are TASB recommended from legislative changes in this last session, there still are policies they continue to review and model after what legal challenges and changes have been made.
100%, yeah. Case law is going to dictate some of this for sure. This one stuck out to me as an oddity to maybe the majority of it if I looked at that one. So, okay. That was my only real comment. I just wanted to understand how that was implemented. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
So with that being said, is there a way for us to, when we review this, to see which ones are law, which we obviously don't touch, versus the recommended ones from TASB?
In your computer, there are the legal policies. There's a folder of the legal changes that TASB's recommended. It's about 1,500 pages of policy changes that TASB is recommending on the legal side, which we don't adopt.
Correct.
We just
Okay.
accept.
So everything that we're seeing that you want us to review is not legal?
It's local.
Okay, got it. All right.
And it's red line.
Yeah, okay. Board members, any other questions regarding this? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next agenda item is 5F, Comal Commitment 2024-25 Annual Report and 25-26 Second Quarterly Report. Dr. Chapman?
Yes, sir. So yeah, God, you scare me. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So there's two reports in front of you today. One of them is, first, we're following our district improvement plan and our collaborative vision 5-year plan, and that's your Comal commitment. And that's the first quarterly report that shows you everything that we're doing, meeting those needs, promises made, promises kept. But you have even a bigger copy, and a big shout out to Daniel Mendez for the work he and his team have done. 342 pages illustrating in all the things that our different departments, 6 departments, have come together to ensure that we have met all of those needs, guidelines, and regulations. And just as a reminder, in your Google Doc, under the superintendent evaluation, all of the reports that reflect that and meet those regulations, not just my evaluation, but the executive cabinet, all of those documents are also embedded in there for the last 3 years. So you take all of those 3 documents together, you blend them all into one, and they're just a direct mirror. They all speak to one another. And it was all, again, I want to just reiterate, it was all developed by our community back in 2022-23.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chapman. Board members, David, Mr. Krasinski?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say to, I guess, if you've made it all the way through this entire meeting and you're actually watching, that, how many? 11. Hey, there's 11 people. Okay, great. If you've made it this far, I think, obviously this is going to be on our website. I'm 99.9% sure. I think everyone should share this. If anybody questions what this district is doing for students, faculty, ex-faculty, and anything we're doing to drive successful outcomes and growing greatness in our school district, point them to this document, share it. I try to get on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and share as much as I can. But this document in particular, 300 pages, is I think a real testament to the hard work by not only the people in this room, but everybody within the district that makes our district unique. We are not the norm. We are exceptional. I think Dr. Chapman says that word a lot, but this is extraordinary work by extraordinary people on, frankly, a limited budget with one hand tied behind our back, punching our way through, making sure that we provide, superior educational facilities, curriculum, and outcomes for our students. So thank you all for what you do. This is a end of the year kind of summation, but man, honestly, it's tough to fathom that we do all these things in a year. So thank you to everybody.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said up here. Ms. Shaw?
Thank you, Madam President. To me, this is just proof positive that this is an organization that eats, sleeps, and breathes continuous improvement. And I don't think there's any staff member in this room who ever sits on their laurels and like, okay, well, we've solved that problem. You always have you're curious, you ask questions, you're always looking for a way to do things better. And to me, that is just the best sign of a really great organization. And so, kudos. Thank you.
Mr. Garner?
Thank you, Madam President. I will agree with my fellow trustees, particularly David. That was very nice. So what I see in this is leadership and professionalism, and it's amazing. So thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, President Biasotti. Dr. Chapman, the leadership, this book is just so much more than pages. It's so much more than pictures and accomplishments. It's truly growing greatness. And the time we all spend away from our families and just pouring into these students and staff and everything, this is the why. This is the why, and it reignites, I think some of us, maybe all of us, I won't speak for all of us, just our purpose, our commitment. But to see this, I mean, I'm going to be carrying this around with me. And so when I get asked, or what is going on in Comal, I'm going to either direct them to the website, or if they're visual like me, I'm going to show them the book. But just, I'm so impressed just what is on these pages. And it is possible because of all of you. And we truly live, in the words of Dr. Chapman, in an exceptional district. So thank you to every single person that has a fingerprint on this. It truly makes a difference. As a parent in Comal, this matters. So thank you all.
Mr. Krasinski?
I have one more nice thing to say. I couldn't let it go. Since y'all complimenting on how nice I'm being, I'm going to just throw one more compliment. I am truly proud to be a Comal ISD School Board member. These things are, I think, this particular thing, but I think all the work that's been going on this year, it makes me proud to represent not only my area, but also be a part of this exceptional group of people. So thank you for making this a wonderful thing to do. So thank you.
All right. The next agenda item is 5G intruder detection audit findings. I will turn it over to Mr. Whitehead.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Chapman. I am Doug Whitehead, Senior Director of School Safety and Security. So this is a summary of the Comal ISD compliance and corrective actions related to the Texas Education Agency intruder detection audits. The Texas Education Agency initiated intruder detection audits in June 2022. As of this school year, TEA has completed 18 audits across all campuses within the Comal Independent School District. The following summarizes the key actions from the audits conducted on November 17th and 18th of 2025. So key actions. Key action number 1, training for campus staff. In-person training was provided to all campus staff, emphasizing the importance of ensuring all exterior doors are properly closed, latched, and locked. Key action number 2, development of a school safety improvement plan. Comprehensive plan of action was developed to improve school safety procedures. This plan prioritizes the maintenance and timely completion of work orders related to the exterior doors. Review with the District School Safety and Security Committee. The findings from the audits and subsequent corrective actions will be reviewed with the District School Safety and Security Committee on April 16th, 2026. Notification to the board. Specific details of the findings are prohibited from being discussed in open sessions as per TEA guidelines. And in conclusion, this concludes the presentation of our intruder detection audits and the corresponding corrective measures implemented. Comal ISD remains committed to the safety and security of all its campuses, students, and staff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Chapman.
Yes, ma'am. And I did send you an email that had those 2 items, that a memo from Mr. Wunderlich, so you got that earlier in the week this week.
All right. Moving on, we will proceed to our next agenda item, number 6, consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism that the board uses to approve a number of routine items together with a single vote. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the public notice for this meeting includes the list of all consent agenda items, and the board has been provided ample information about these items in advance. Prior to any action taken on the consent agenda, board members may request withdrawal of individual items for clarification or discussion. Board members, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda at this time?
Madam President, I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Oh gosh, got me all flustered now. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. With a vote, how many of us? 5. With a vote of 5 in favor, the motion carries. The next agenda item is number 7, items for discussion and/or action. The next item is 7B, consideration and possible approval of. There are no items removed from consent that need to be addressed, so we will skip to 7A and proceed to 7B. The next item is 7B, consideration and possible approval of purchase of wearable Raptor badge alert system. Mr. Scott Monroe.
Good evening, President Biasotti, Dr. Chapman, members of the board. Excited to talk about a new addition to our physical safety and security posture that we're interested in doing. And so all of you have seen the proof of concept standard we did at Goodwin Fraser, and we're in the process of rolling out to the rest of our campuses in the district. Some of the, I won't go through the details of this, but some of the core functions of the system is to take alerts either from a physical, button press within the building or from an alert that's issued from a cell phone app, and then we carry that system into the alerts from the PA systems and the clocks and alerting 911. All those things that we flow those emergencies SRP protocol standards into. Some of the challenges we've ran into with that, though, are that it does rely on cellular service for the mobile app to be able to work. Substitute teachers often don't either. They don't have the app or an account within the system. Itinerant staff that move from campus to campus, that mobility can be challenging because as they use the app, it's really not campus aware, so they have to select which campus they're at to be able to issue an alert. And then lastly, physical lockdown buttons, we rely on those inside the building, but there's not any of those, those in the outdoor spaces. So as we looked at those challenges, we've known that the wearable technologies have been out for some time, but generally cost several $1 million in a district our size to deploy initially. And we were approached by Raptor with a new system that they were rolling out that looked to be at a much more affordable price point to add to our existing Raptor stance. And so you can see here as we add that wearable as an additional input into our system. And I wanted to show you tonight what that looks like. So it's a single button badge that can be used by staff members to either press 3 times, which triggers what's called a team assist, or it can be pressed 7 times within a 5-second period to actually put the whole campus on lockdown. It's not an easy button to accidentally press. You have to really, physically press it. I can see now I set off a team alert. It should beep at me in a second and tell me that I've done it. There it goes. And so when you do that, the system actually sends out an alert to the campus administration with a link to a map showing exactly who issued that alert, where that alert was issued from, and the sense of a team assist, or puts all of the systems we currently have in place in the lockdown mode. It's a rechargeable battery life for 4 to 6 months, and we get to monitor that and send alerts if they get low. We'll have checkout badges for substitutes, and these are, unlike the app, are location aware, so that any itinerant staff that are moving between campuses, it automatically knows where they are as it attaches to the Bluetooth GPS-enabled beacons within the building, so that the alerts automatically go to the right place. So if we have a custodian or we have a special ed teacher who's moving around, diagnostician that's moving to different campuses, it'll alert that campus's administration automatically. And it will trigger, like I said, all of those lockdown systems within the building in the sense of a lockdown. You can see here there's an example of, I went over to Mayfair Elementary where we have it installed as a test and triggered one alert inside the building in a wing as well as one alert out on the playground. There's a series of beacons that are distributed throughout the interior of the building as well as weatherproof beacons are on the perimeter of the property. So the badge knows as it talks to those exactly where it is within the building and sends that location, indicating it could be anything from a student who's broke their arm on the playground to another situation where maybe the teacher needs an SRO to come into the classroom. Or, of course, like I said, if they rapidly push it, they can put the entire campus on lockdown.
This is a true game changer. You really look at whenever you push it, it's designating right where that spot is.
Right.
You can react instantly. This is really awesome.
And it is. And some of the great news, like I said, is we've looked previously at some of the systems that really weren't within the scope of our 2023 bond funding. And we began to work with Raptor on this after we did Mayfair Elementary, and we're interested in then expanding that to the rest of the district. We were able to actually, they're very anxious to get clients on board before the end of the fiscal year in December, and so we were actually to get the $135,000 worth of services normally to install at the other 37 campuses in the district waived to no cost. It got them down to that. And they got we were able to get some credits back for the Raptor Emergency Management, which we already used and have a subscription for as included when you buy the badge system. And so we were able to get the services brought down to $72,000 for the rest of this year, which brings us to future years. It's a $220,000 a year district-wide charge. But that does include over $93,000 that we're currently spending for emergency management for just a net increase district-wide of about $126,000, which I say compared to some of the systems like Strategics that are out there that we've looked at, would probably be about $1.5 million to install and $300,000 to $400,000 a year. So this will really game changer in the ability of us to be able to afford it within the scope of the existing security project. So we have those funds available.
The other great things too is, one of our apprehensions or issues we've had is when a substitute comes. So now a substitute, grab the badge, use the badge throughout the day, then they have the same access in case of an emergency. So this is going to be a game changer, like you said, for Comal ISD and really the future of public education. We're going to be a leader in this, but I believe this is going to be something you're going to see, in the next 5 years, many districts saying, why aren't we doing this?
Yeah, it's really with what the TA auditors know. Mr. White, our security director has, as they've worked with the auditors as they come to the campus, is the lack of substitutes being able to trigger an alert or out on the playground especially is something that they're really looking for. So this is going to really make us compliant with that.
Thank you for that presentation. You done?
I am done.
Okay.
If there's any more questions.
So this badge is going to, the staff will wear one badge. They won't have that and their other one, right?
Well, it will just it will attach with
together.
Their current visible badge. They can have them together. They can wear this as a lanyard separately. We're kind of working on the best way to attach the two together.
Okay, that's great. Board, do we have any discussion? Any questions? Mr. Krasinski?
Thank you, Madam President. Quick question. I'm assuming law enforcement will have this with them as well? Is that something that y'all have in the budget?
We did talk about that. We would probably issue one to SROs,
That's what I mean,
or
SROs.
have one as a checkout to them, where we have some campuses where the SROs rotate, much like we'd have substitute badges. And of course, those badges will just sort of be labeled generically, like substitute 1, substitute 2, or SRO 1. And so when the campus got an alert, they would see that as opposed to the user's name, but they would be responsible for checking them out and back in each day to those individuals. Whereas the rest of the staff will keep their permanently assigned badge that's tied to their name.
I see. So this is the hardware, that card is going to be how many per campus, give or take? Obviously,
Well, it would be
one.
one for each faculty member on the campus, as
One for each,
well as enough to cover. We're working with HR to get the sort of maximum number of subs that campus would have at any given one day, and make sure we have at least that many extras.
So you're going to have 3,700 plus some extra for all of our current faculty, plus
Correct.
substitutes, plus some other stuff. Got it.
And all the badges we need, including if they're lost or if a badge is damaged and isn't charging anymore, is included in those service costs, so we don't buy any additional badges.
This is great stuff. I think this is, we have come a long way, at least since I've been on this board, in our security posture. So thank you for bringing practical and, I think, robust system to our schools. It makes me feel much more, that much more secure taking my kids in and out of our schools every day. So thank you.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you, Madam President. Question, would, after-school care, SAC employees be issued one of these badges too? As you know, after school, there aren't that many people on campus, and there's a little bit of a, what if something happened, after school?
We hadn't discussed that, but it's a great idea. I don't know why we couldn't issue them one, just like I said, like we do substitutes or other full-time staff on the campus. Oh, I'm sorry. I believe that we would issue them. We hadn't discussed the SAC in particular, but it makes sense that we would give them one. Yeah.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, President Biasotti. Thank you for that. The location thing is amazing, just to see right there on there. But one thing I want to ask that you briefly discussed that I thought was a good call out was the multifunctional purpose of this. You said if a teacher needs assistance on the playground or an SRO. Can you go a little bit more in detail of that?
So like I said, so it has two functions, either the team assist or the lockdown, and there's not really a way to differentiate between what the team assist is, and so the office would just know that staff member needed assistance. And so when we work in training with the staff, we'll have to talk about what justifies pressing the team assist and maybe what doesn't. It's really for sort of emergency assistance.
Okay.
But there's no way for them to say this is an injured student, say versus I have a
question.
student who's getting violent in the classroom. They'll just know that staff member needs assist by either like I said, a 3-button press. Because the only other option, like I said, is to just start pressing it and make sure you do it 7 times, and then it'll trigger the whole building into lockdown.
Well, I appreciate the effort to just look into something like this for the safety and security, because that's always top of mind with us. So thank you for answering that question.
It's really going to enhance what we're installing right now across the campuses.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion regarding this agenda item?
President Biasotti,
Ms. Jones?
I move to approve the purchase of a wearable Raptor badge alert system as presented.
Second?
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. With a vote of 5 in favor, the motion carries. Thank you. The next agenda item is number 8, closed session. As authorized under Texas Government Code, including but not limited to sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, 551.0821, 551.084, and 551.089. Item 8A, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, consider and discuss personnel employments, resignations, retirements, and assignments, and conduct the superintendent formative evaluation. Audience members are welcome to remain in the boardroom. Board members will recess for deliberations. The time is now 9:16 p.m. And the time is 10:41. Our last agenda item for the evening is item number 9, adjournment. Would like to wish a good luck to our Ranger football team tomorrow night as they face Port Arthur Memorial in Katy, Texas. We'd like to wish everyone a wonderful Christmas break. And when we return, we will hold a board workshop Thursday, January 15th at 6:30 p.m. And our next regular scheduled board meeting will be on Thursday, January 22nd at 7 p.m. here in the Support Services Boardroom. Ladies and gentlemen, there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 10:41 p.m.